The Admiral's hand froze mid-salute, his eyes locked on mine across the banquet hall. Behind him, 300 naval officers went silent in a wave, chairs scraping as people turned to look. My brother Derek stood at the microphone, his face cycling through confusion, recognition, then pure horror. "Commander Riley Hayes," the Admiral said, his voice carrying that particular authority that made captains stand straighter. "I didn't know you'd be here. Let me back up. The invitation came via text. Mom's 70th birthday dinner. Saturday. Naval Station Norfolk Officers Club. Try to look presentable." Derek, always efficient, always dismissive. I didn't respond. I just marked my calendar and requested leave. The Officers Club was decorated in navy blue and gold, with round tables surrounding a small stage. Mom sat at the head table, flanked by Derek in his service dress blues and his wife Vanessa, who'd been introduced to me exactly once at their wedding 4 years ago. Derek was a supply corps officer, important work, logistics, and contracting, though he'd never deployed. His uniform was immaculate, his ribbons minimal but proudly displayed. I arrived in a simple gray dress, my hair loose around my shoulders, walking with the slight favor of my right leg that most people didn't notice unless they were looking for it. The scar tissue on my back pulled when I moved too quickly, but I'd learned to compensate. "Riley." Mom's hug was brief, distracted. "You made it." Derek was worried you'd bail. "Wouldn't miss it." "You remember Vanessa. And this is Commander Peterson. He's Derek's new commanding officer. Just took over the supply center." Peterson shook my hand with the polite disinterest of someone meeting their subordinate's unremarkable sister. "Derek speaks highly of his family." "Does he?" I kept my voice light. The room filled with Derek's colleagues, his professional network. Mom had spent her career as a Navy nurse, and several of her old friends were scattered among the tables. I recognized the tribal dynamics, the hierarchy of rank, the subtle positioning, who sat where and why. I found a seat 3 tables back, near the wall. Derek approached during cocktail hour, a beer in hand. "Glad you could make it. Wasn't sure if you were still in town." "I'm stationed at Fort Meade." Right. Still doing that. What was it? Intelligence analyst thing?" He said it the way someone might say mall security guard. "Something like that. Vanessa's been asking about you. She wanted to know what you did in the Navy." He took a swig. "I told her you did computer stuff. Data analysis. Back office type work. That's one way to describe it." "Well, you never talk about it." He gestured vaguely. "Hard to brag about my sister when I don't know what she does. Unlike you, I actually deployed. Bahrain, 6 months. Managed a warehouse operation that supported 3 carrier groups." "That's important work," I said honestly. "Yeah, well, real work." He drained his beer. "Mom's proud of the uniform at least, even if you never did anything dramatic with it." Dinner was surf and turf. Speeches started during dessert. Commander Peterson went first, praising Mom's 30 years of service, her dedication to the wounded, her grace under pressure during the Gulf War. She teared up. People applauded. Derek went next. "My mother taught me what service means," he began, his voice steady and rehearsed. "She showed me that wearing the uniform is about sacrifice, about being part of something greater." He paused for effect. "I'm proud to serve. Proud to deploy when my country calls. Proud to lead sailors in real-world operations." His eyes found me in the audience. "My sister Riley served too. She's here tonight." "Wave, Riley." I didn't. She did her time, got out quietly. I think she works for a defense contractor now. Some analyst position. Nothing glamorous, but hey, everyone contributes in their own way. Polite chuckles. Not everyone can deploy. Not everyone handles the pressure of real military operations. Some people are built for the desk. Vanessa was watching me, uncomfortable. She'd noticed something Derek hadn't, the way several senior officers at the front tables had gone still. "So here's to Mom," Derek continued, raising his glass, "who showed us that service is about showing up, being present, doing the hard work. Not everyone understands that." He looked directly at me. "But those of us who've deployed, who've led sailors in theater, who've earned our ribbons the hard way, we get it." The room applauded. Derek sat down, satisfied. Mom hugged him. Peterson clapped him on the shoulder. Then a figure stood at the head table. Not Peterson. Someone I hadn't noticed sitting beside the Commodore. Rear Admiral James Carrington. 2 stars. Seal Triton on his chest. A Navy cross among his ribbons. He walked to the microphone with that particular SEAL swagger. Controlled, economical, dangerous. The room went absolutely silent. I apologize for the interruption, he said. But I need to address something that was just said. His eyes scanned the audience, found me, locked on. Commander Hayes, would you please stand? Every head turned. I stood slowly, my leg protesting. Ladies and gentlemen, Admiral Carrington said, I want to tell you about the woman Derek just described as a desk analyst. Derek's face had gone white. Mom was looking between us, confused. Peterson leaned forward, suddenly very interested. Commander Riley Hayes, the Admiral continued, served 17 years in Naval Intelligence. But that's not the whole story. He paused. For 12 of those years, she was assigned to Naval Special Warfare Development Group. Someone gasped. Peterson's water glass stopped halfway to his mouth. For those who don't know, Carrington said, his voice carrying to every corner of the room, DevGru is SEAL Team 6, the unit that conducted the Bin Laden raid, the unit that handles our nation's most classified counterterrorism operations. He looked at Derek. Your sister was their targeting officer. The silence was suffocating. Commander Hayes didn't sit at a desk analyzing data, the Admiral said. She deployed with operators into denied areas. She ran intelligence operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, and half a dozen other countries I can't name. She identified high-value targets. She planned direct action missions. She sat in operations centers while bullets flew and made decisions that determined whether my men lived or died. Mom's hand was over her mouth. In 2019, Commander Hayes was embedded with a SEAL element in eastern Syria. Carrington continued. They were supporting Kurdish forces against ISIS. Her intelligence led to the capture of 3 senior ISIS commanders and the liberation of 42 hostages, including 12 Americans. He paused. During the operation, their position was compromised. They took heavy fire. Commander Hayes was hit by shrapnel from an RPG. She sustained severe injuries to her back and leg. I could feel 300 pairs of eyes on me. While wounded, losing blood, she continued to direct close air support and coordinate the evacuation, the Admiral said. She saved 17 lives that night. 17 SEALs who came home to their families because your sister refused to stop working until every single operator was accounted for. Derek had gone from white to gray. She was recommended for the Navy Cross, Carrington said. The citation is still classified. The operation is still classified. Commander Hayes has never been able to tell anyone, including her family, what she actually did. He looked directly at Derek. So when you say she did her time and got out quietly, understand that she medically retired after nearly dying for operators like me. When you say she works some analyst position, understand that she still holds a top secret/SCI clearance and continues to support special operations from Fort Meade. The room was frozen. Commander Hayes's call sign in the teams was Oracle, the Admiral said, because she saw what others couldn't. She found targets that had eluded our intelligence apparatus for years. The Bin Laden raid? She was in the intelligence pipeline that made it possible. The Bo Bird-Doll rescue attempt? She built the target package. The al-Baghdadi raid? Her analysts at Fort Meade provided critical intelligence. He turned to face me fully. Ma'am, I know you prefer to stay out of the spotlight. I know you've honored your NDAs and your operational security even when it cost you recognition. But I cannot, I will not, sit here and let someone diminish what you've sacrificed. His voice softened. You brought my brothers home. You brought me home. Twice. He came to attention and saluted. A SEAL Admiral. Saluting me. In civilian clothes. At my mother's birthday party. I returned the salute, my hand steady despite everything. Then the Commodore stood and saluted. Then Peterson, his face stricken. Then every officer in the room, one by one, rising and rendering honors. 300 people saluting a woman in a gray dress. Mom was crying. Vanessa had her hand over Derek's, but he was staring at the table, unable to look up. When the salutes ended and people sat, Carrington wasn't done. I have something for you, Commander. He pulled a small box from his jacket. This is from the men of SEAL Team 6. We had it made when you retired, but we couldn't present it publicly because your service was classified. He opened the box. Inside was a trident, the SEAL warfare insignia, mounted on a plaque. Below it, an inscription, to Oracle. You found us. You guided us. You brought us home. The men of DevGru. My throat tightened. I'd worked with SEALs for over a decade, but I'd never earned the trident. I wasn't an operator. I wasn't qualified. We know you didn't go through BUD/S, Carrington said quietly, reading my expression. But you earned this in ways that matter more. You bled with us. You deployed with us. You're one of us. He handed me the plaque. The weight of it was significant, real. I ran my thumb over the gold trident. Thank you, sir, I managed. He nodded, then returned to his seat. The room stayed silent for a long moment. Then someone started clapping. It built slowly, applause that felt different from before. Respectful. Odd. Mom came to me, moving through the tables like she was in a dream. Up close, I could see her makeup was ruined. Riley, she whispered. Baby, I didn't know. You never said. I couldn't. All those times you came home injured. Said it was training accidents. Her voice broke. You were in combat. Yes. And we treated you like. Derek said you'd washed out. That you couldn't handle the pressure. I know what Derek said. She pulled me into a hug, fierce and desperate. I'm so sorry. I'm your mother. I should have known. I should have seen. You saw what I could show you, I said gently. That's all I was allowed to show. When she pulled back, Derek was standing there. His uniform suddenly looked like a costume, his ribbons like participation trophies. He couldn't meet my eyes. Riley, He stopped. Started again. I had no idea. No, I agreed. You didn't. I thought. You never talked about your work. You always deflected. I assumed that meant there was nothing to talk about. You assumed I was a failure, I said quietly. Because my service didn't look like yours. Because I couldn't tell war stories at Thanksgiving or explain my deployments at Christmas. I was wrong. His voice was hollow. God, Riley, I've been telling people for years that you couldn't hack it. That you did some boring intel job and quit. I medically retired after taking an RPG in Syria. He flinched like I'd hit him. The limp. I thought you'd hurt yourself at the gym or something. Shrapnel. 11 pieces. They got most of it out. Vanessa appeared at his elbow, her eyes red. Commander Hayes, I apologize. I believe what Derek told me. I never questioned it. Why would you? I said. He's your husband. But I should have seen. The way you carry yourself. The way you assess rooms. She shook her head. I'm Air Force Intelligence. I should have recognized another intel professional. Peterson approached, his earlier condescension completely gone. Commander, I owe you an apology as well. I made assumptions based on your brother's description. It's fine, sir. It's not fine. He glanced at Derek. I've served 23 years, and I've never done anything remotely as significant as what Admiral Carrington described. To have dismissed you, even in my thoughts. He extended his hand. It would be an honor to have you visit the supply center. I think my sailors could learn a great deal from you. We shook. His grip was firm, respectful. The party continued, but the energy had completely shifted. Officers approached me carefully, asking questions I mostly couldn't answer. The ones with special operations experience understood the boundaries. They asked about Fort Meade, about my current work with NSA, the parts that weren't classified. They shared their own stories, the ones they could tell. An older captain, a former SEAL, sat beside me. Oracle, he said thoughtfully. I knew that call sign. We worked together in 2015, didn't we? Mosul. I can neither confirm nor deny. He smiled. Right? Of course. Then, softer. Thank you. For whatever you can't confirm or deny. Some of us know what you did. Some of us remember. As the evening wound down, Derek found me by the windows overlooking the water. The Norfolk Naval Base stretched out below us, ships at pier, gray and powerful in the fading light. I don't know how to fix this, he said. You can't, I said honestly. He spent years telling people I was a failure. That damage is done. I'll tell them the truth. You can't. Most of what I did is still classified. He was quiet for a long moment. I was jealous, he finally said. Growing up, you were always smarter. Faster. Better at everything. When you joined the Navy, I thought I'd finally have something that was mine. My career. My service. He stared at his reflection in the window. And then you even did that better than me. You just did it quietly. I did it differently. I corrected. What you do matters, Derek. Logistics matter. Supply chain matters. Without people like you, people like me can't operate. But you operated at a level I'll never reach. And you have a wife, a home, a normal life. Things I'll never have. I turned to him. We chose different paths. That doesn't make one better. I called you unemployed, he whispered. Last Christmas, at Aunt Sarah's house, Someone asked about you, and I said you were basically unemployed. I know, she told me. And you didn't correct me. I couldn't. He nodded, slowly, accepting it. Can I ask you something? Just between us. Maybe. Were you scared? When you deployed? I thought about Syria, Yemen, Iraq, the operations that had no names, the targets that had no faces until we found them. Every single time. But you went anyway. So did you. Bahrain might not have been a combat zone, but you still left your wife. You still served. It's not the same. No, I agreed. But it still mattered. We stood there as the sun set, brother and sister, finding our way back to something that almost resembled respect. Mom found us before we left. Riley, I want you to come to dinner. Just family. Next weekend. And I want you to tell me. She paused. Whatever you can tell me. I want to know my daughter. The real one. I'd like that. She hugged me again, tight. I'm proud of you. I should have said it before, but I'm saying it now. I'm so proud. Those words, finally spoken, settled something deep in my chest. As I drove away from Norfolk, the Trident plaque on my passenger seat, I thought about the years of silence, the burden of classified service, the loneliness of being unable to share the most important parts of yourself. But I also thought about the operators who'd come home because of intelligence I provided, the hostages freed, the terrorists captured, the missions accomplished. Derek would never understand my service. Maybe Mom would, a little, but the men of DevCrew understood. And in the end, that was enough. My phone buzzed at a red light. A text from Admiral Carrington. Thank you for your service, Oracle. We don't forget our own. I smiled and drove home through the gathering dark. Finally seen, finally honored, finally home. End.